The days leading up to the death of the Emperor were difficult ones. The torrent of revelations regarding the gifts of Valeria were overwhelming him, and I was doing all I could to help him understand and navigate the chaos. It seemed there were not facts to be had, no precedent to measure any of this against. We found ourselves in completely new historical territory. However, despite our lack of understanding, the consequences of events were very apparent. Like it or not, Little Feather was faced with a very real situation of being dyad, two men in one body. Having done the research and followed him through the entire affair, I was the only one who truly understood the scope of what he was experiencing in those days. Imagine a life in which you are engaged in a never-ending battle with the one you hate most, with no hope of escape, no way to simply walk away and cool your emotions, locked in conflict for all time. It was at the height of this turmoil that he created the Burned Company. He called a meeting in Markarth and everyone came. He gave an eloquent speech and called upon us to join him in ending the Civil War. We all agreed. Despite our very backgrounds and beliefs, we all agreed because we believed in him, each of us for our own reasons. We immediately set out for Solitude, but were rejected by the Imperial Army. The general was not willing to allow us to fight as a unit and could not stomach the idea of our band being out of uniform or appearing to be mercenaries. After hours of fruitless discussion, Little Feather walked away, and we determined to carve our own path. For many months, we did profoundly good work in the world. We rooted out vampires. We saved villages from the lawless bands of outlaws that roamed the countryside. We even sealed off the Illinalta Valley, creating a pocket of peace in land filled to bursting with chaos and death. We were all proud of our accomplishments. But I was proud of Little Feather and the leader he had become. It was at this time that Palandri came to me with a dagger and a story. It seems that months before, he and Berg found a dagger that was the twin of a weapon that Fleet had been carrying for some time. A style of dagger that was unmistakable, and an exact replica for the one Little Feather had created with his own hands. I had often wondered what possessed him to create a weapon in the image of a woman's form. He would always brush me off with a joke, saying it felt good in his hand. That was his way when he didn't understand something. This, however, was something altogether different. He crafted the weapon himself, so how could there be another? Palandri was convinced this was important, but he could not explain why he felt so. He said the dagger was found on a desecrated altar to Dibella, and that as soon as he saw the blade, he recognized it as Fleet's workmanship and unique design. I, on the other hand, immediately turned my thoughts to the words of Melka, the covenant made flesh. She had spoken of Little Feather's destiny and that he must find his patron. Could it be that Little Feather was tied in some way to Dibella? I explained what I had learned about the covenant to Palandri, and we both presented the weapon to Little Feather. We looked on, stunned, as he compared the blade with his own. They were identical in every way, even down to the battle scars. It was then that we began to plan our expedition to the broken tower. Little Feather wanted to see the place for himself. As a band of seasoned professionals, the Burned had no difficulty in taking the tower. It was at the top that we found the shrine. Splashed with blood by the forsworn in their dark rituals, the form of the goddess Debella dominated the room. I cannot say what it was, but the shrine captured Fleet's full attention. He gazed at it for long moments, seeming to take in every detail. Palandri spoke calm and quiet words to him, comforting him as you might a frightened child. Perhaps he saw something in Fleet's disposition that I did not. He placed his hands on Fleet's shoulders and said, "Boy, you have been chosen by the Beautiful One. Do not be afraid to be joyful, for it is a great blessing. You have struggled for so long. Your spirit has been torn and your heart drowned in sorrow. Look to the light and let it go." Simple words on the surface made so much more meaningful when spoken by Palandri, a Dunmer religious scholar. The room was silent for a moment, and then Little Feather began to weep softly, releasing years of strain and torment. We all stood with him and shared his grief. For many leaders, this expression of emotion would have cost him the respect of his soldiers, but in that moment, we all came to realize how much we loved and respected him. Yes, he was a hard and complicated man, but he was noble. He was an honorable man, trapped in a monumental struggle that none of us could truly understand. It was at that moment that we all understood. We would follow him unto death, out of nothing more than love.
Boy, it is time to return home now. I have a gift for you from Daddy, especially made just for his own precious son.